Hard to prove your income? Self-employed, foreclosure, or bankruptcy?
And we need to talk about this. We're facing a solvency crisis. The Federal Reserve, just in the past 6 months, has taken in almost $500 billion worth of quality securities from the banks. Now,
welfare in this country.
What's your response to the people who just insistently keep saying that's what this says?
Well, I would very respectfully say they're wrong. There's no government money in this. This is the private sector coming together to deal with the complexities coming out of the securitization process.
On our website, which is www.paywatch.org, we look at the incentive structures behind CEO pay at the major firms that contributed to and then suffered from the subprime crisis. Workers lose jobs. Workers suffer when their pensions are devastated. $1 trillion in loss, according to the IMF, resulting from the subprime mismanagement. $1 trillion.
It's not just the borrower that's in trouble. It is now the entire economy.
And we're just finding out about it now. It's in the back of the paper. It's in the business section. It's not in the headlines. It's not on the front pages. Where are the investigations of the various investment houses and hedge funds on Wall Street?
Failure of the first payment on 18% of the mortgages in 2006. I can't believe that somebody didn't say, wow, we may have a problem if 18% of the people we're giving mortgages to don't make the first installment payment.
A lot of it was fraud.
There needs to be a RICO type action. Criminal prosecution of all those people who were involved in knowingly creating this system. So no, this wasn't something about a normal cyclical of a housing boom bust. This was engineered.
This is a mess. Because I got to tell you, something doesn't smell right. Pay option arm. The problems posed by countrywide aggressive use of no-doc or liar loans.
A very large percentage of the problematic subprime mortgages originated in the last 4 years were originated by state-regulated entities. I'm not intending to raise an alarm here. There is no crisis, but we should be proactive and address this issue.
My gosh, let's at least tell the American people the truth. Let's provide leadership.
With respect, I disagree with entirely, because this is a completely different housing boom to bust cycle. We had never seen this kind of price appreciation before, and it was all based on brand new, never before seen mortgage products, which you don't seem to put into your equation here. How do you factor in some of the unprecedented things that happened during this boom?
It sounds complicated, but it's really fairly simple. Banks lend hundreds of billions of dollars to home buyers who can't pay them back. Wall Street took the risky debt, dressed it up as fancy securities, and sold them around the world as safe investments. If it sounds a little like a shell game or a Ponzi scheme, in some ways it was. A house of cards rife with corruption, greed, and negligence.
So they were getting paid to buy a house?
They were getting paid to buy a house, yes, yeah.
And strangely enough, it didn't seem to bother the lenders either, who were collecting huge fees just for landing the loans.
Whatever they wanted to state for their income, the bank accepted that at face value and made the loan based on that income.
Just gave them the money?
Just gave them the money.
No down payment?
No down payment.
Jim Grant calls it an invitation to fraud.
You apply to a bank or a mortgage broker for a loan, and you would fill out a form, and you would say, I have an income of, $400,000 a year. They say, you do, fine, just sign right there. Because they're being paid not by the veracity of the information, but by the consummation of the deal. And the lending officer would say, you have verified this? Why, yes, we have. And the lending officer would say, great, so do I. And he'd pass it on to Wall Street. Now,
and he got a cut too.
Yes, yes, everyone gets a cut.
Almost all of the people involved in the transactions made huge amounts of money, then passed the risk on to somebody else. Instead of keeping the dicey loans in their own portfolios, the big banks and giant mortgage companies that originally underwrote them sold them off to big New York investment houses.
Firms like Bear Stearns and Merrill Lynch sliced the loans into little pieces, packaged them up with other investments, then sold them to their best customers around the world as high-yield mortgage-backed securities, turning sow's ears into silk purses, all with the blessing of the rating agencies like Standard & Poor's.
At every step in the way, somebody has his or her hand out getting paid. The broker got paid. He or she was happy. The lending officer ditto. The rating agencies got paid for passing judgment on these securities. They, too, were pleased, and their stockholders were happy. And on. And it would never end, except that it did.